Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. Are you guys getting ready to take over the world as well? Because I have my James Bond kitty. Okay, she doesn't like that. What? What? You're live on the internet. Behave. See? Yeah? No? Alright. She was cooperating right before I had the camera turned on, but... Well, greetings everybody. It is Friday. Welcome to Friday News. We are going to have a grand time. I was actually going to have a couple of articles, and then there's just a few other ones I came across where it's just too good not to cover today. And so we're going to go ahead and have a look at those. We have a few articles under Scary Tech. Then we're going to talk about security, and our first article under security is actually a public service announcement, something that just came out today, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some bad business. You can see I'm sporting my KDE computer back behind me. I'm back to the KDE. You know, I actually had to force myself to get rid of the Manjaro Budgie. The Budgie is actually a nice system. I mean, it's pretty cool. I love the look of this computer and how I have it all stylized and the extra widgets. I think that's one of the things that I missed, is being able to quickly see the next several days of the weather and having all of the quick launcher bars there without being a full dock. And my pictures, I have a little thing of pictures that scrolls down there on the bottom. I really like the KDE desktop. It just grows on me as a really good system. So that's what I got going over there. I've not made the final decision what I'm going to be running yet. Next, I might do a version of Solus, or I might do a Corora. A lot of people said Fedora, and then we got into the big Fedora thing, and it's like, I didn't want to do Fedora because it just takes too long to get set up right. But Corora is Fedora that's already set up, and so I might do that. So right now it's a toss-up between some version of Solus and some version of Corora. So that's kind of what I'm going to think about doing next, and I'll probably have a decision here before too long. So hello to everybody. We've got Carbon Programmer. How's it going? Sudo Linux also with Tux Tips, aka Techno Bismol. That's just what you should change your name to, man. I mean, that's what you should do. Albert Crow, how's it going there? Google Programmer, I have no idea. I leave Tux Tips just cleaned up. Aw. Okay. I'm doing well. Let's see. Brian Lunduke talked about Minix. Huh. Was that recently? I missed some of his. Hello, Daniel. How are you? Corora was the first distribution I ran on a desktop. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, Corora, I looked at Corora and I said, you know, if I had to run Fedora, this is probably going to be the one I'd run. And so I think I might do that. All right, so a reminder, we're going to be recording this, and so before I jump back over into the news stuff, then we're going to go ahead and hit the record, and you'll see me do another intro again. That's for easier editing. I have a lot easier time editing if I do that. And actually, I'm throwing the comments over here because it gives me my cut points when I'm doing my edits. Clean up now. Little Ratty wants to watch. All right. Cool. First Linux distro Carbon Programmer used was Ubuntu. That was mine as well. Mine was Debian. Ooh, that was a... You jumped right in there. Is that Kaitun? Kaitun? I don't know. How do I pronounce that? Yeah, it's jumping right into Debian now. That's pretty ambitious. That's cool. I really like Debian. My internal web server inside the office is actually Debian. It's actually just my NAS drive, but I've put a few other fun things on top of it. All right, so we're going to jump back on over here. Of course, I didn't want to run the intro again. We'll just wait for it. Wait it out. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. We are back with the news, and our feature story that we're going to talk about is, are you mining cryptocurrencies in the unawares? We're going to be talking about that issue. We have a few articles under Scary Tech. We have some articles under Security. And we have some articles on Bad Business. So, we're going to jump right on in here in just a moment. There you go. Evil Tech. That'll work. Boom! First article. Sony has come back with its robot dog, and they gave it OLED puppy doggy eyes. Check, please. I want out of the human race. Okay. So many fascinating things about this dog. Now, this was actually almost on the radar last week, but it didn't make the cut. But I just thought, okay, now they're doing another article. They're giving it OLED eyes, and some of the things on here, you'll understand why I'm talking about it. Because this thing is creepy. It's like, oh, cute little puppy dog. This is like cute little puppy dog that is a perpetually connected IoT device, probably readily hackable, that can spy on you with cameras, walk around your whole house, and transmit a whole lot of data about you. Bingo! That's awesome, and that's why we're covering it here on Switch to Linux. Where we talk about technology and privacy concerns. And so this guy here, it is just so cute. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, oh, is he cute? Oh, little puppy. I mean, yeah, okay, dog butt. I mean, there's no hole for the dead batteries come out. I mean, come on. Bow wow. And it scratches itself. That's exciting. So this puppy here, now they gave him OLED eyes to have much better, cuter looking eyes apparently. But if you look closely at this nose there, what you will see in the nose, there is a camera in there. That is right. The dog's nose takes video images, and it seems to store those video images up on Sony's servers, which we all know that Sony is just this hack-proof place. But not only does this dog cost you $1,700, but you have to pay a mandatory monthly fee for 3 months for an LTE service that even if you take this dog off of a wireless network, it is still connecting via LTE service up to the cloud. And of course, you get your app. You get your app in there so that for your phone app, so that you can get on your phone app and your IoT phone app, and you can see what your dog sees throughout the house. And that means you have an internet connected dog that is controllable with a camera on the front. This is like worse than hackers gaining access to your camera. This is hackers gaining access to a camera that can now walk through your house. So, you know, that's an exciting little thing. Of course, this thing is not available here in the United States. Bummer. They should. In fact, in the comments, somebody says they've identified their target market. Apple users. So this guy here, it's like $26 a month for the LTE for 3 years. If you don't pay the full 3 years, you'll be subject to a cancellation fee of $86 plus $4.39 for each remaining month left in the contract. So I guess you could buy it and then pay $86 plus 4.37 times as many months as you have left in that. Which, what is that if you cancel that on month 1? Let me run a quick number here. Let's see, so if you did 36 months times 4.39 plus an extra, what is that, $86? That's $244. So for just about $2,000, you can have the thing that's not perpetually connected to an LTE network, but you still have an IoT device that's probably connected to your Wi-Fi that somebody can probably get in there, hack into, and then, you know, is... Okay, there's like IoT things that are somewhat useful. This is an IoT fake robotic dog. Check, please. I want out of the human race. Yeah, there's a little videos about how cute the dog is. Yeah, that's a little intriguing. Next area in the area of scary tech is... of course, everyone's beating up on the Trump administration. I'm not caring about the Trump administration issue. What I'm looking at is the title here is Trump administration reportedly kills vehicle-to-vehicle safety mandate. That is actually not the case. There's an update to the article saying that no, this is not completely destroyed. It's still there, still looking into it. The reason I wanted to talk about this, and the reason this is significant for the concept of tech and privacy news, is this is there was a mandate put into cars that was it by 2020 or something like that. All cars had to have this V2V technology. It's basically a wireless signal. It's utilizing one of the broadbands that was reserved for, you know, some other purpose. So if you look at the broadband, the the frequencies that we use for wireless networks. This is one of those frequencies. So what was going to happen is all cars were supposed to be mandated to have this frequency that's always pushed out that can be detected by other cars as a means to kind of let cars know where each other are. And of course, that allows for a connectivity to an internet type thing. And what's the take-home message for this article is that the problem is almost every car, new car, as of starting in around this year, is going to be equipped with 4G LTE technology. And I mean, this is the worst idea in the history of ideas, okay? Here's the thing. If I have a software package over here, and let's just take, for example, if you're alive in the Windows 95 days and Windows 98 days, where if you had access to the internet, you were barely ever there. Mostly, you know, no data could really transmit. Why is it we didn't have all these security updates? Because the things weren't on the internet. Okay, if it is a very simple matter, keep cars off of the internet, and you will not have an issue with them hacking through the internet. Now, there is the challenge of shortwave cars, because if you want the convenience of a key fob, you have to allow some degree of technology. Now, if an update is pushed, it's a very simple process of building a little port into there that you can update the thing, or having it take the car to the factory to push an update through. It's possible to get updates. Putting a car on the internet is the stupidest thing you could ever possibly do. It's just too open to hackers. And we don't need a software update coming through destroying our cars. Okay, and that's kind of the reason I want to talk about this, because not only do you have these technologies, but you also have, you know, cars attaching with cellular signals, and you just have all sorts of other issues. And so that is kind of the challenge on this one. So that's why I want to talk about that. It has nothing to do with the Trump administration or this kind of clickbaity type article, because that ended up not being the case. But I wanted to make sure you were aware of the technology. All right, so the last one, scary tech. This one's just one of those head scratchers. If you happen to be running iOS 11 on a device, your iPhone has been cataloging brasiers, bras, and other terms relative to the bust area of a woman. So if you happen to have an iOS, I think it's a 10, iOS 10 device, I'm still running iOS 9 because I refuse to have, I think there's anything with any operating system that has 10 in the title, I think is bad. So if you are running iOS 10 or higher right now, and you have a bunch of photos on your phone like most people, if you go into there and you come up into your search function, you push search and you type in BRA for bra, and you push enter, it will show you a bunch of pictures from your phone that has your bust! Of course, they're like, Apple responded to this and they said, you know what, guys? We're not collecting all this data. This is... Really? I might be the only human in the history of the universe that does not have the iCloud connected to their phone. Guess what? All your photos are going up there. You think they're not tagged like that? Because if I take all my photos and I sync them with my cloud, and I also sync that to my Mac, and they come back down, I can go on to the Mac and type in bra in the search, and I will get all of my bust pictures. Okay? Yes, it is in Apple's cloud. And no doubt the search terms are in Apple's cloud. But yeah, you can come over here, and there's actually a whole lot of them. So this actually came out just earlier this week. Now, this was something, like I said, this came out on iOS 10. That's over a year old now. This has been a functionality for a year, but nobody's really noticing it. So here are some of the things. Basically, what they built into the technology, when you use your device and you take a picture, and this will, maybe it will scare you from taking pictures. You take a picture, the phone software is automatically looking for things. It's looking for things like Brandy's brass instruments. So I guess if I take a picture of a trumpet or something and type in brass instruments, bandas, breads. Let me see. Do I have a picture of bread on here? Let me see. I don't actually keep a lot of photos on my phone. Oh, actually, I don't even have that functionality anyway, because I'm on iOS 9. Yeah, I only have like 15 pictures on there anyway. But basically, if you have iOS 10 or higher and you type on these things in, you will get this. But somebody had to program in brasiers, bra, and bras, which means every time you take a photo of your girlfriend or whatever else, if there happens to be a little bit of bust line in there, then your phone will tag that for you. So you can very quickly take your iOS 10 or higher device and type in bra and get just a whole listing of just all of the bra photos. Are you scared yet? Wow. All right, let's jump back on over to the comments here. Tom, it was yesterday's talk about CPUs spying. Yeah, I think I watched most of that. I might have watched all of it. I was just distracted through some of it, I think. Been Ubuntu, have you tried F-Droid 1.0? I will not put any app stores on the device. What I do is, if I need to do anything from F-Droid, I download the APK package directly, and then, that way I can do checksums or whatever else, and then I will port it over the phone manually. I'm not a person that searches for apps. Once I'm happy with the apps that I like, then that's about all I want to do. Okay. I don't know yet when they will build telemetry into hardware. Yeah, it's probably already there. How much you want to bet Sony's just collecting all this stuff? What's the average house look like? Maybe we should sell vacuums. In fact, it was really funny because the one of the recent vacuum cleaners that came out recently also has a camera on it. Level 1 texted a fun little scenario where hackers broke into your smart house, set your house on fire with the stove, and then were controlling the vacuum to watch the flames. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. And possibly mining while you're unaware. Yep, we'll get into that. Mandatory monthly fee. Yep, that's right. Getting better at Chinese. Cool. Very good. Especially vocab. Sweet. I'd rather have a real dog than an electronic dog. The only good thing about this is if you really love dogs and you want to have a dog that, doesn't shed and stuff like that, that's fine. Or, you decide that you're done with Fido for a while. And the greatest thing is you don't have to watch the thing. All right. I hate fake pet toys. I like real pets. That's right. I wonder, what does he think of fake pet toys? Hey, kitty. Kitty. Can I replace you with a fake cat? No? No? He's not enthused about the idea of replacing him with a fake cat. Oh, looks like Snoopy. Yep, because toy pets don't have feelings. I prefer my German Shepherd, thank you. Yep. For my Shibu. Since OLED can enable and disable certain pixels when you turn it off, it's probably still on, but really looks like it's off, so it's probably tracking us. Well, again, the camera, though, is not in the eyes, it is in the nose. Hackers will find a way to get any data they want. Yep, here's $1. Why are you homeless? You couldn't pay my electronic dog's fees. Yup. Next thing you know, hackers will be building their own robots or rovers to gain access to their... Oh, wait, yeah, they have. Would it stop people from tailgating? Which one? No, it'll just make the car keenly aware that there's tailgating going on. Yeah. Forgot to clean the closet. You were wrong. I was on the internet in 1987. Well, then you probably had a government-type job. Yeah, there were very, very, very small packets, but the normal society, the internet did not exist then. There were, a few circumstances with researchers and things like that, but the internet itself as a whole, we're talking about people who regularly used it. Yes, in a crowd like the world, there's always going to be, those odds and those ends with that. So that's kind of what we have to do to take care of that part. I just noticed I thought I pushed the start recording button, but for whatever reason it's not recording. I have no idea why. Oh well. Maybe I'll kick out the first 3 articles. Okay. I refuse to use any modern. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, it was made public. I think it was made public in '93. It still took. It took almost. Took at least half a decade or so until it was common enough that people could actually get onto the internet. You could do direct telnetting, dialing to other people's computers. You could do that, and certain people in certain work segments could gain some access. But yeah, it really wasn't publicly available for all that. Also, IoT stuff is overcomplicating tech. Yes, it is. I refuse to use any modern Microsoft or Apple system. Yep. Binary code wall is freaking me out. Okay. It's not like Google is collecting telemetry data in the cloud services. Oh wait. Yep. 2 or more friends on an online game are switching to Linux. Should convince more people to switch to Linux. Greetings, Interceptor. How are you? Seeing how people will still believe in misconceptions of Linux. Yeah. All right, it's not searching. Entertaining show. Thank you very much. Okay, it's not searching. It usually updates. Usually they will protect you from hacks. What's not searching? All right. Apple iCloud is pathetic. I am homeless because I could not pay the fees for my smart home services. This week on ABC 7 Eyewitness News, fire has been started at smart home by hackers. Dial-up life matters. All right. Let's see. Do I want to kick off the first 3 articles, or do I want to... I have 2 options. The first is I can download the report when it's done and cut from there, or the second option is I can start recording and just kick off the first 3. Now, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and download the report, so we're just going to not worry about recording. All right, so next we are going to be moving on over to security. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one for security. So first on our security public service announcement, if you are using a Tor bundle on Linux or on Mac, update now. There was a bug discovered that would, if you were trying to access a file, which some people particularly like, if you're trying to open a PDF, it's better to open the PDF in the Tor browser rather than using the system thing, because the bundles will only route the browser traffic through the Tor network, not the system. And it's possible to put internet calls inside of a PDF. And so there was a problem that if you opened up a file in the Tor browser, then it would expose your IP. And so that has been patched temporarily with a workaround, and they'll be releasing the full versions, I think, on Monday. If you are now, if you're using the bundles in general, I would encourage you to not do that. The Windows bundle was not affected. The Mac and the Linux bundles were affected. So the difference is the bundles are, you can download these, and it's just an extra browser on top of the system. This here impacted effectively only that. If you're running this on Tails or on Cubes or on the testing sandbox system, you are not affected by this. So the Unix system, really. So Cubes uses the Unix, so that's safe. Tails is safe. But if you are using this particularly on a Mac or a Linux browser bundle, then go ahead and update that because of this known issue. So temporarily, they've patched temporarily just to block being able to open the files. If you are using it and you're finding you can't open files, that's why. The full patch to allow you to open files safely will be released. They're saying is Monday is the time that'll be released. All right, let's. I see a lot of comments. Let's jump back over there before we hit our news for the day. Hey, Fatal, how's it going there? Okay, imagine hackers using drones to see inside restricted areas as well. Yeah. Linux looks more modern than Windows. Yes, it does. No IoT in this home. Yep. Okay, you should have F-Droid because there is a major annoying bug. Awesome new features. or even a security blockage, you should always update. Yeah, for the whole 3 apps that I use that I compile myself generally that don't have a lot of connectivity, I'm not all that concerned. Does live stream buffer in Kodi? I don't know. I've not actually watched the live stream in Kodi. Pet Rat played her first game called Chase the Hand. Nice. Very cool. Okay, hackers can already see into the security cameras. Next, they'll be doing drones or rovers to access private property. Okay, all right. On to the news of the day. So, if you've been following some of the news, what's been happening is, of course, with ads being, and in reality, ads are not nearly as good, particularly on a website. If you have millions and millions of views, ads mean a little bit more. But I remember I put I put AdSense on some of my websites almost 10 years ago. And so far to date, those have accumulated. We're almost into the double digits. Now, putting ads in front of videos on YouTube is actually profitable. But putting just ads on the website isn't as much. And so some guys figured out that, if we just utilize some JavaScript, we can load JavaScript onto a website, and then the website visitor's CPU will do all the calculations to mine our cryptocurrency for us. Awesome. And so it started kind of sneaky without any authorization, and then a lot of antivirus software companies have started to see this and started blocking the domains. And so it's kind of started with PolitiFax as one of the first ones that was released. So basically, if you'd go on to PolitiFax, there was this linkage in the JavaScript code for CoinHive. So with CoinHive, what this is doing is it's just going back and it's basically utilizing your CPU on your computer as you're visiting a website, and it's doing that specifically to mine cryptocurrencies on your behalf. So the idea is, if you get a lot of different computers doing this, then you'll get significantly more money than you would by running running AdSense. And so that's kind of what happened. And some of these are, putting them on there and being aware of it. Others are simply being hacked onto it. So in this case of PolitiFax, it was hacked onto there. And then some other sites that are being hacked. And so this is another public service announcement and maybe a small amount of advertising. There were several hacks into WordPress sites. And so basically, WordPress hacks become popular, and there's a couple fundamental reasons. It's not that WordPress is bad. WordPress is very good, and that's actually why I've chosen to develop in it. So I do a ton of custom developing in WordPress. The challenge with WordPress comes in the fact that they've done a couple things. The first is they've convinced the average user that WordPress is a way for the average user to create a website without any coding experience. And the reality is that's simply not true. If you have a WordPress site, you probably still need a web designer, at least to get on there every now and again and do some fixes and repairs. Because what has happened is people put up a website. In fact, I have the funniest story about this. I had a client in New South Wales over down under. Do I have anybody down under watching the stream today? But I had somebody over there in New South Wales who had a website, and they wanted a website really cheap. So we did something, and I gave them server space, and then I built up a quick. In fact, the site I gave them was HTML. I gave them access to the server information because I always make sure to do that. And they hired someone else, either them or the final client. Somebody hired somebody and got in there and installed a WordPress site, and never secured it, and used a very insecure theme, and the thing kept getting hacked. And so, this is on my server, so I said, I can't have a constantly hacked site. I said, you either have to verify that the thing is getting regular security updates, or I'm going to close the server down. And they never verified that, and so I just closed the server down. It's like, nope, you're done. You're not on my server anymore. And the problem is, it's not that they were using WordPress, is that they had thrown a WordPress website up there, and then nobody ever thought that they needed to do anything with it. You have to update those. And the next major problem with WordPress, so that's the first problem, is people don't update them. The second problem is people buy these premium themes from crappy stores like ThemeForest. And these ThemeForest themes are so full of crap, you have no idea what's in there. And a hacker can get in there and just sneak something in and you wouldn't know the difference. This is why I build my WordPress themes custom from ground up, and I can tell you if anything's not right in there. Because what happens is people will hack into the themes, throw in some scripts. They'll either do a header injection or a footer injection, are two very common ones. It's rare, but you could get database injection. That's pretty rare. What happens is they look for certain insecure scripts. And what happened is 500 different WordPress sites were found hacked. So first, to protect against this, and this is probably a temporary measure, is I blocked this URL and this URL in my host file. So if you are blocking your host file, I would add those two codes to your host file right away. That way, these are the only two we know of that are mining these Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies now. So if you block these two sites, that in theory should stop it. It'll just, time them out rather than using your CPU. And so I'd recommend everyone do that. Now, some sites are getting better, and they're giving you this pop-up, So, and this raises itself a fascinating question. Would you allow a company to say, hey, instead of pushing ads, we're going to go ahead and mine some cryptocurrency using your CPU? Is this okay? I'm a little bit better with that, as long as it's not some pop-up overlaying the screen. That pisses me off. Do away with those things, but have it on a sidebar, maybe something that flashes, brings my attention to it. If you're asking permission, I'm generally okay, except I will not use any of these, because these are the guys that were doing it unscrupulously, and these are also the guys that you will find hackers using these. Leads me to believe that whoever runs these sites are probably also the hackers injecting these things into unsecured WordPress sites. That's my thoughts. And so looking at a lot of different things, these are some of the scripts that were found. And again, if you're not familiar with web design, you can't tell what any of this is going on. And this kind of brings us full circle with a fabulous Brian Lunduke video where he's talking about how the internet sucks. Or I forget if somebody knows the exact title of that. Go ahead and leave that in the chat comments there. But he did this thing talking about how the internet sucks, and it does, because more and more and more sites are just putting more and more and more JavaScript on the servers, and then what's happening is we just have so much JavaScript going all over the place. You don't know what it's doing, you can't understand half of it, and you don't know what's there, and then before you know it, you got hacked stuff going all over the place. And I like Brian Lunduke's approach to say, let's just get rid of all this JavaScript stuff and just, keep it simple. Now, of course, I'm a WordPress developer, so I do use a lot of that, especially since I use the Bootstrap framework. But the Bootstrap framework is quite a bit less intrusive than a lot of these other JavaScript systems that I've seen in the past. All right, so here's the FBlaster injection. See if you would identify this in your header file. You see anything echoing a base 4 thing in a header file, you can probably safely delete it. But this is why you need to have a web developer in your back pocket to make sure you're not getting this kind of stuff. Like this one here is dropped in. This is Thesis Scripts folder. You know what I think this might come from? There is a company called Thesis. Thesis is one of the frameworks for WordPress, and you never, ever, 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 ever want to use one of these frameworks. Thesis is a big one. Genesis is a big one. You never want to use these things. They are full of hundreds of thousands of lines of code, and they actually break the core WordPress functionality. It's like it was written by a bunch of guys that didn't know what they were doing. It's like, I can't figure out this WordPress. Let's just hack the hell out of it and put our own junk on top of it all. It's like, go build your own system. But this looks, if you were running the Thesis theme, you'd look at this and say, oh, yeah, that should be there. But it's calling this script. If you find something like this in your index file, you should be suspect. Okay. Baby, 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 ooh. I haven't blocked that one. Maybe I should block that one. But again, Lois is a CoinHive user. So all these CoinHive users are going to coinhive.com. And so if you block those, then that should, in theory, block all this stuff out. There's probably going to be some better ways of blocking this down the road. But this is kind of becoming a challenging thing. So here's another one. WordPress themes, Bootstrap, JS plugins. So if you're familiar with WordPress, this is not going to be a valid URL. Did you know that? This is why you need a developer in your back pocket. Because WP content is indeed where you store the themes. Themes is indeed where you store it, but there should not be a theme on your in your folder called Bootstrap. You might find Bootstrap somewhere else, but what happens is people don't know what's going on. And I've seen the weirdest stuff inside hacked WordPress sites. It's actually one of the services I provide. I have a near 100% successfully cleaning WordPress sites. And a lot of it's just knowing very well what the structure of things looks like. If you have a hacked site, I can look at it and tell you what probably went wrong with it. And so... let's see. This one's in Magento, which I don't use, so I would not be able to identify these ones as well. But this in and of itself is a little bit suspect as it is. Again, CoinHive user. This is why I would never allow anything from CoinHive to operate on the computer. That's why I blocked it. Because while there seems to be some legitimate people who nicely ask, doesn't seem to be the usual. Here's a Drupal infection. Again, I don't use Drupal. This one's scary because, who doesn't run Google Analytics? The problem is Google Analytics does not use Google Analytics.js, except possibly in this one. I don't think that is, though. Google Analytics uses ga.js. Thank you very much. So very clever ways of hiding some of this stuff. So this one here, they found 500 infected WordPress sites. One of the old challenges with WordPress is it used to identify in the header what version of WordPress it was, which made hacking them very easy. Fortunately, WordPress has gotten rid of that. So, oh, there's a Russian domain. It's the Russians! It's the Russians! The Russians, they're doing it. It's the Russians. Oh, it's the cat. Hey, cat. Hey, cat. Are you hacking my computer? The cat's hacking my computer. So, yeah, a lot of websites are out here. Pushing a lot of these cryptocurrency stuff. So that's kind of scary. Kind of scary, isn't it? Kitty. He's like, what? I'm sleeping. Anarita, welcome. Sorry I'm late. I was busy eating and washing dishes. Sweet. All right. Yeah, I had an early dinner today. Actually, I cooked me up some steak and broccoli and covered it with some cheddar cheese. It was awesome. Linux-based operating systems are the future of the desktop. Windows and Apple-based operating system are legacy. Yep, I hope so. Livestream works like a charm in Kodi. I'm now watching it at the moment. Sweet. Yeah, there was a company that's doing some battle with Kodi right now. We'll get into that a little bit later. Should we coin a new term for the corporate telemetry operating system? How about spy.os? Oh, legacy corporations. Okay, it depends on your connection in terms of the speed of your plan. For me, I have unlimited internet with good speed, so it runs no buffer. Yep. I was actually having problems. So this was neat. My media center in my living room, which is connected to my TV, I have a nice dumb TV, an awesome big 42-inch dumb TV connected to a Raspberry Pi running open source media center, which of course is a Kodi build. And so for the longest time, I was having a lot of challenges, which I was thinking was wireless. So I ended up running Cat 6 to it. So it's actually hardlined directly into my router with a Cat 6 line, but it still was lagging out. And so what I found is the problem is some of your Android remote. So I found my Android remote on the KitKat was actually interfering with the thing. So removing that, I'm running it now on the iPad's remote, which works pretty well, except the search function. I did just put the Kodi remote on this phone, but the Arrow pad doesn't work right, so I have to look into that. I just haven't had a chance. Sudo Linux, see you later, man. All right. Windows 10, the legacy OS. Heard about the huge Bitcoin mine in China. Yeah. I have Kodi 17.5, which is the latest version. Works like a charm. Nice. Okay. Many of the professional programs are coming out of China. Do I like Laravel? I don't know. Or Laravel. I have no idea what Laravel is. Fidel, do you use Wi-Fi streaming? Because that could be the buffer issue. As for me, I only use Ethernet. So I no longer use Wi-Fi because it's slower and less secure. Yeah. I have one of the downsides. My current work computer, which is still the Windows computer, just because it hasn't broken yet. When that one dies, this is the replacement computer for it. And unfortunately, it is only wireless. I guess what I could do is I could get a USB. I get a USB port for it. I could probably do that. But the thing is only wireless, and so I'm kind of stuck with wireless only for this guy. And of course, I have my, I have a few tablets and phones on wireless, but for the most part, I have 4 ports on the router, and I have a network switch on top of that. Although, when my pfSense router is ready to deploy, I will need to get a bigger switch, which will actually mean that I can probably add 1 or 2 more computers onto Hardline Ethernet if I can. But that's the thing, is I do prefer hardwiring things in as much as possible. Yeah. Remember when sites would just run on HTML? Yes, I do. Do indeed. Sometimes when you make something simple, it works best. Absolutely. And that's the thing about what I'm doing with my Simplicity series on Outdoor Philosophy, is I'm really getting things down that sometimes it takes time to move things from how complex it was back down to simplicity. But once you get there, it's just so much better. And what I'm finding, guys, I'm finding that Outdoor Philosophy, since I've been doing the simplification and minimalism, the view count has shot up through the roof. Like, people apparently, like, a few people really liked reading the books, but I think people just like me talking better. I don't know. When I did away with the books and just started talking, the view count just went through the roof on that series. So I'm definitely going to keep that series up for a while, especially since the new format takes me virtually no time to do. How I live, my life is simpler, less things and less stuff. Yep, brings tons of benefit. Yep, Chinese food was mediocre at best, just meh. Not have many IoT devices and more privacy. Yep. Hey Ryan, how's it going? Okay. It's the Russians. Okay. Well, this is Bluetooth headphones, so I would not have cables connected to stream the media player, but I hate it when they need charging and the audio is not good. Yeah, that's the trap. And, I've been thinking about this lately. Maybe it's another Outdoor Philosophy topic, but, when I was a young man and I loved my music, I had this whole massive, awesome stereo surround center all in my room and CDs and all this other stuff. Now we have the technology to do that so much better. And what do I do now? I just play something on my phone by the bed. We trade off. There was a point in time when things got better and better and better, and it kind of peaked with CDs that had like the best ultimate quality. And now we've just gone down a hill for the convenience factor. And it's kind of scary, really, but, And, that's why I want the headphone jack, because I don't want to do away with the... I don't want to rely on Bluetooth because the sound is not as good. I can get perfect sound by using a high quality MP3, plugging it directly into my, my headphone jack with headphones. But yeah. Okay, 99% of IoT devices made are cheap Chinese made imports with terrible security and privacy. Yeah, a lot of them are. You heard about Haiku OS or tried it? Sounds familiar to me. It sounds familiar, but let me have a quick look at that. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it sounds familiar, but not ringing a bell. Not ringing a bell right now. The elections were indeed hacked by Russians, but that doesn't mean Trump was aware of it or in on it. Well, to my understanding, all they were trying to do is just confuse everything. They weren't taking any sides. And of course the Russians hacked it. Didn't you read the Babylon Bee? The Russians even hacked the church potluck last Sunday. I mean, come on. Things stand right now, I'd rather keep Trump in office. Hillary would have us in even worse shape than now. North Korea needs to be bombed. They have taunted and threatened us for years. We should protect South Korea and Japan at all costs. I don't know if I'm getting into that debate right now. I don't know. Chinese characters are one of the oldest. Better to plant. Yeah. When something does not work, I blame President Trump, but never the wife. Though, as I like sleeping in the bed. Bluetooth devices are security risk, I've heard. Yeah, there's some security issues with the Bluetoothy. That's for sure. But probably not a whole lot more than much else. All right, back on to some security news. This was exciting. So somebody finds a completely unencrypted USB drive with all of the security of Heathrow Airport, including the Queen's routes and security detail. And I absolutely loved their statement back. Was their statement on this, or did I see their statement somewhere else? No, I think the statement was somewhere else. Let's see. I read a lot of different articles for each of these, but of course, as I've said many times before, you can tell a PR officer is lying if their lips are moving, and they're like, "We take security the ultimate highest priority of all things at Heathrow Airport." Really? Then how is anybody walking around with an unencrypted hard drive? Or like an unencrypted USB drive, okay? Like, I mean, we're talking little USB drives. Somebody found a USB drive with unencrypted data of all of the security. Every bit of the security detail is on the thing. Whoops! Yeah, if you're putting that type of information on a drive, at least encrypt the silly thing. The exact route the Queen takes when using the airport and the security measures to protect her. Files disclosing every type of ID needed, even those used by covert cops to access restricted areas. A timetable of patrols used to guard the site against suicide bombers. Maps pointing to CCTV cameras and network of tunnels and escape shafts linked to the Heathrow Express. Routes and safeguards for cabinet ministers and foreign dignitaries, and details of the ultrasound radar system used to scan runaways in the perimeter fence. Can we say whoops? Whoopsies. Oh. We've already been talking about some IoT stuff, but this was a fabulous little article on Ars Technica. Security versus convenience. IoT requires another level of thinking about risk. And I read this whole article going into all of this, and the takeaway that I wanted to talk about is that the problem that we are having with all this IT isn't the fact that we need to educate people about how to use everything. It's not how much we need to educate people. It's not all of the measure of the fact that is this something we want to weigh out? Like, should we buy Amazon Key? Are we ordering enough things? Do we live in an unsecure enough neighborhood that we have to worry about porch pirates that we would buy Amazon Key and allow a stranger to put a package in our house when we're not home? The problem isn't in all of that. The problem is that all these companies are pushing all this stuff and in some options withdrawing our ability not to. For example, to my understanding, you cannot any longer get an LG appliance that does not have smart technology embedded. I mean, I haven't looked lately, but can you still find dumb TVs outside of maybe a little one about smaller than the size of this computer monitor? You know, do we have those functionalities? Can we still get it? And what happens now is that it's not even a matter of, do I want a smart TV or do I not want a smart TV? It's a matter of, that's what you're getting because that's all that's available. And so what's going on in the light of all this is that this article is a fabulous little article about we need a better risk assessment. We need to identify the risks. We need to identify the problems, but the corporations are still in control and pushing certain options that they want us to have that we are lacking the ability to remove. And that's the challenge. So this whole thing's going into risk assessments and models, but I was reading through this whole article and I'm thinking, this is the problem. Amazon, Echo, et al., they're listening. Hey, Alexa, order me some unicorn meat. Okay? And yes, I have to say that every time I see something about an Echo. And so we have all of these things, but the problem is that everything is pushing this IoT stuff down our throats, and the average consumer is so unaware of what's going on. They're like, I have nothing to hide. No challenge. And so what's going on now is they're coming in and saying, whatever. The challenge isn't that we need better risk assessment. And this is his risk assessment, of course, if you've probably seen this. How risk assessment models work and why they're inadequate. The reason they're inadequate is because we are not giving consumers choice or any information. And the reason is if the consumers knew the information, they'd be like, no, that's not worth having. And the tech would die. And that tech is what drives the companies. And that's really the reason. That's why Microsoft is collecting so much data. It's so that they can collect as much data as possible to make the best advertising possible to sell advertising. That's what their end game is. Okay? And if they take any amount of time informing people about what all this stuff is, people would look at this and go, holy crap, that's scary. Let's discontinue that. And then what would happen is we move away from it. So this article is very nice. It's an interesting and fascinating read. For those of us that already think about this stuff, this is great. But the problem we have is that this is so unreasonable in the sense that this is the exact type of thinking that companies do not want the consumers to have. Because we'll look at this and wake up and go, maybe I don't want to order an Amazon Echo because the thing is always listening. Maybe I don't want a new Microsoft Windows 10 computer because it's always listening. So you have those types of functionalities that are out there, and so that in and of itself is the thing. So this was a cool and fascinating thing, but at the same token, it's something that this is what the companies don't want. They don't want you to do threat assessment. They don't want you thinking about it. In fact, a famous line from an Adventures in Odyssey is the one where the bully of the town releases this rock band. Of course, it's a Christian program, so they're trying to say that rock music is of the devil. The parents in the town want to get together and burn all these tapes, and the final concluding remark to the guy's father, who's like the local scammer in town, is they say, oh, let's just talk about this and think about this, and he's like, no, we don't want people to think about it. If they think about this stuff, they'll stop buying. And that's the line that they used in the show. And it's just so fascinating that that's the thing. These companies do not do any of this. They don't educate us about any of the risks because all they want us to see is the benefit. Because if we see only the benefit and we are blind to the risks, we will blindly buy the thing and not realize the downside. So if you want more fun downsides on things, yeah, the iPhone 10, it's like all the security stuff in the iPhone 10. Yeah, guess what? The app developers can use this. They have to promise not to sell the data. Yeah, we'll get right on that, Apple. Apple won accolades from privacy experts. They did not win. Okay, I don't know much about Roundup. What is the bias leaning of this is it a reporting company, whatever, because they did not win accolades from privacy experts in September. They got a letter from the Congress and from Senate saying, we want more information about this Face ID stuff. You remember the news? I covered that. Okay, but anyway, they won accolades. No, they didn't. That's actually a flat-out lie. In September for assuring that facial data used to unlock the new iPhones would be securely stored on the phone itself. Except when third-party app developers use it, and then the third-party app developers can take the information, but you promise not to sell it. Yeah, we'll get right on that. We'll get right on that, indeed. And so, no, I don't want to play a video. But Apple's privacy promises do not extend to the thousands of app developers who will gain access to the facial data in order to build entertainment features for iPhone X customers, such as pinning a three-dimensional mask to their face for a selfie or letting a video game character mirror the player's real-world facial expressions. Because, yes, I want every game company to have my biometric face data. Apple allows developers to take certain facial data off the phone as long as they agree to seek customer permission and not sell data to third parties, among other terms of the contract seen by Roundup. This is like, you know, Verizon and Comcast are going to police themselves. Do away with that pesky net neutrality. Don't worry, we'll enforce net neutrality. Don't worry. We will govern ourselves. No, you won't. App makers who want to use the new camera on the iPhone X can capture a rough map of the user's face and stream more than 50 kinds of facial expressions. Okay, that is a reason in and of itself that not only do I not ever want to get near an iPhone X, I will not let somebody point a camera of an iPhone X near me. That's creepy. This data, which can be removed from the phone and stored on the developer's own servers, can help monitor how often users blink, smile, or even raise an eyebrow. I'm raising an eyebrow right now, buddy. I'm raising an eyebrow right now. That remote storage raises questions about how effective... I mean, come on. Don't worry. This facial data is going to be used to secure all of your data for Equifax. But don't worry. It's stored on their secure servers. That remote storage raises questions about how effectively Apple can enforce its privacy rules, according to privacy groups such as the ACLU and the Centers for Democracy and Technology. Apple maintains its enforcement tools, which include pre-publication reviews, audits of apps, and the threat of kicking developers off its lucrative app store are effective. Yeah, no, I doubt it. Data available to developers cannot unlock a phone. That process relies on mathematical representation of the face rather than a visual map of it. It still doesn't matter. This is creepy, 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 creepy. It's going to get the user's permission, just like Facebook, you know. Wow. Wowzers. All right. Current generation teenagers are turning conservative. Many of them share opinions with Trump. Actually, it's true. I don't know about necessarily sharing opinions with Trump, but definitely more conservative. I'm not sure Trump's views are necessarily conservative or not. I really don't know. But teenagers generally, modern teenagers generally have more in politically in common with their grandparents than they do their parents. That is true. And in fact, I mean, I think about the kid that I mentor, and that's exactly the case. You know, he's very cognizant of the privacy stuff. He doesn't touch social media, doesn't let people tag him on social media, doesn't, you know, barely uses his phone, cognizant of privacy things, doesn't really want anything to do with IoT stuff, you know, but you know, people in a slightly older generation just buying this stuff up. Oh, this is so cool what it can do. This is so cool what it can do. And they never stop and think about really what it can do. He's a clear and present danger. Okay, I used to use NoScript to protect against bad JavaScript, but it was a hassle. Yeah, that's the problem is most websites don't work if you disable JavaScript. That's a challenge. Trump worries crap out of me, but at least he can handle Fat Boy. Yeah. Okay, our FBI and CIA can do better security and privacy online. Okay. Are the corgis safe? The corgis, they are more important. The corgis! The corgis are coming. Focus blame on each other, but fusing on security. I'm not in the list, although it should be. No, not blaming each other. Okay. It helps the media doesn't broadcast our nation's strategies to deal with threats. Good. And current generation is learning from their elders and not buying into their BS. Yeah. Because there are few English people left in London. There are certainly things I'll never tell you. If and what VPN I use, what cryptology I use, and where I place private things. Yep. That's a good strategy. And that's why there's some things I simply won't cover on this channel because it's just too close to what I do for security and privacy. Okay, no more LG devices for me. My wife says no. Yep. I mean, double check, verify that, but I've heard that. Unicorn meat for me. All right. Arby's has to start selling unicorn meat. That'd be interesting. How about unicorn blood? Living forever? I mean, come on. I'd like the unicorn, the roasted unicorn sandwich with unicorn blood shake, please. Ooh. We'll be left in the 1900s. The world will laugh, but we will be protected and secure. That's the thing. That's the thing. I'd rather have bulletproof glass, metal doors, and bars than a smart security system. Yep. Implement stronger security over coming out with convenient, cool new smart devices with features that aren't even practical. Yep. Tom, stop saying Alexa, order me unicorn meat because you might get sued by the special snowflakes because they got a bill from Amazon unicorn meat listening to you. No, that's actually between them and Amazon, actually. It's about spying and control. That's why I like to keep up with making that crap. Yep. I'm starting to think that companies that are resorting to controlling their users or using telemetry software are declining. Starting to think that companies that are resorting to controlling their users using telemetry software are declining. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I'd like to see an appreciable decline in Windows 10 because that's, of course, one of the big ones. But I think that, like, trends come and go. For example, if you remember back a while back, like, tablets are going to take over computers. And I was always sitting there going, no, they're not. Not a chance. Right now, you see barely anything about tablets. Like, when's the last time you even saw a tablet out in the wild, you know? Every now and again, I'll see one guy in the church of a couple hundred people I go to. I might see one or two guys with a tablet, and one of them is the guy that runs the sound system. You know, tablets really aren't as useful and as functional as they were. It's just kind of a fad. There's like really cool, but now, you know, now it's just like, okay, yeah, that was interesting, but they really don't work as well. And so with that perspective going in mind, I think some of the technologies are declining, but not all of them. There's still a big market for the IoT stuff, and that's kind of weird. I listen to Christian rock albums. Cool. Yep. They do. Look how good this is. Yep. And Christian rap glorifies God. Yeah, some Christian rap's good. Actually, Mark, if you haven't read Lecrae's autobiography. He's a really cool, a real cool story behind what he's doing and how he's doing it. So it's pretty neat. Okay. Microsoft is in decline. Apple's in decline. Google is possibly in decline. Facebook is in decline. I think Facebook's going to hurt themselves the most with this whole testing out to feed page, non-paid feed page posts into an alternate feed. I think that's going to hurt them the most. Because right now, all Facebook is just a jumbling bunch of crap from pages pushing their own stuff. And when they move that out, basically they're going to cut off, because everyone that's still on Facebook, that's this kind of stuff they want to see. Like, if you like my page, like, and you know, and I have because when you're an author, Facebook makes you a nice Facebook page. And so I actually, prior to studying all this stuff, I had a Facebook account linked to my Christian stuff. And when I had that going, then, you know, it kind of adopted itself into the author thing. They would not let me have the name I wanted. So it still exists. So when I publish one of the videos on the Christian channel, I have it push automatically to Facebook. Well, if somebody follows my channel because they want to see what I'm doing, I'm not going to pay Facebook. No way. But what's going to happen if they decide to implement that across the world, then what's going to happen is all the people that wanted to follow me, all they're going to see is the paid advertising. And all Facebook's going to become is just one giant feed of paid advertising. And I think that that's going to be the thing that finally puts the nail in their coffin. But I don't know. I don't know. See a company resorting to telemetry. We should see it as a sign of decline. Yep. Fernando, Otago, when you want to feel smothered and peaceful. All right. 3D map of my face. That's so cool that all my privacy can be thrown away. Yep. Yep. Just watch a TV show which they ended called Cyber CSI, which shows all the issues you're talking about in the series. Cool. I'm going to look into that one. That sounds fascinating. CSI Cyber. Okay, well, I should find it. They will steal my face. Yes, they will. Who's going to come up with the horror show based on that? Stealing your face. No, wait, hold on. That was already done. It was called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Apple Edition. The streamed dumplings were below average this time. I will just go elsewhere, I guess. Or cook it at our home stir fry. Ooh, you know, I should do my recipe for homemade stir fry. Do you know how to make your own teriyaki sauce from scratch? That's a really cool recipe to have. I use it on I either bake chicken with it or make it with stir fry. But I do all my teriyaki sauce from scratch. It's pretty easy. I'm looking for patterns in companies in history so we can notice when a company's in decline. What point do we get tracking badges with our takeout? It's already happening. Come on, you can place your takeout orders on Facebook and Amazon. Said developers for these are very scary devices themselves, do not use them, but they want us to use them so they can have our data. Yep, that's what I agree. Do you think your cat is a conservative or a liberal? Hey, kitty, are you conservative or liberal? I'm going to go with conservative. I think the other one's liberal. He's very quiet and just does his own thing, and the other one's extremely loud and gets in your way. That's what I'm doing. Smart kid. Love this kid immediately. All right. Okay, teens are tired of all the political, safe space, SJWs, BS. Absolutely. Absolutely. In my high school, I saw a sign supporting safe spaces. I don't think I still have it on my phone because I don't store things, but my friend sent me a picture from his school, and it's all done in like in the rainbowy safe places, and I took it out and I crossed out and I said liberal zone. It's a little bad, but he liked it. Okay, bad thing is our elders are dying, they're aging, and we need them so desperately. Yep. Anyone still own a netbook? Depends on what you call a netbook. I mean, I have a very small, I call it a netbook. Where's it at? I think it's over there under a pile of stuff. Many most recent generations have been collectivizing people. Gen Z is becoming more individualistic than any of their elders. Yep. And that's the thing is individualism is so important because what individualism does is it gives people a a sense of this is who I am rather than putting everybody into a mold. Because for the last 20 years, our education system has been trying to put everybody into the same mold. You know, go to high school, leave high school, go straight to college, go get your degree, and then go work for a company for the next 40 years. And the problem is that model hasn't worked for a long time. It's getting to the point where companies are so consolidated, you have 3 or 4 managers, a whole lot of little grunts that don't make a significant amount more money than a soda jerk at a cafe somewhere. And I mean, I've seen people like, I mean, I know a guy that has degrees in finance. He was even manager of a newspaper in the town, in this whole small town. He left that stuff and went to work at a little local game shop and loving life a whole lot more. Maybe not making quite as much money, but definitely making enough to make ends meet. Because the differential pay gap between a college educated person and a non-college educated person is non-existent, nearly non-existent. Particularly, and I gotta clarify that. It's getting smaller and smaller, and what's happening though is that the reason the statistic is so much lower for the high school is because you have this giant confounding variable that the people who did not finish college, they either A, were too lazy to go to begin with, or B, too lazy to study. And people who are too lazy to do a basic thing like show up to class and do your schoolwork are certainly not going to have a good job in life. Okay? And I remember when I was teaching chemistry at Penn State, I had this student in the back of the classroom. It was his 3rd time taking chemistry. He's sitting in the back of the classroom playing Game Boy. I said, dude, stay home. You're going to fail. And he failed, of course. But he's like, well, if I stay home and my dad calls, I'll get in trouble because he knows I'm supposed to be in class. I'm like, then don't pick up the phone when you're supposed to be in class. I can't keep track of that. Just drop out of college, you moron, and go work a little $8 an hour job somewhere and complain about the whole world sucks because you're too lazy to get off your butt and work. Okay, the problem is the statistics that say how much more money you make going to college versus high school contains the confounding variable of the people who are just too lazy to work. Because I got news for you. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Mark Zuckerberg never finished college. Ben Franklin never went to college. I don't even think he had an 8th grade education. Okay? The most important thing is to figure out what you want to do, figure out how you make money doing it, and then get the education you need. That might mean watching YouTube videos. That might mean going to college. I'm not pro-college. I'm not anti-college. College is a tool. Utilize the tool if you need it. And this is coming from somebody with a PhD. I respect the college education. I know what it is. I know what the foundation means. I know the importance of an education. But an education isn't just sitting through a classroom getting an education. An education very well is opening something up, a book, or learning something on your own. For example, everything that I do to make income right now has nothing to do with any of the 10 years of post-high school education I've done. Okay? And I'm making, many of my projects, I'm making up to, $50, $75 an hour. I'm a self-taught WordPress developer. Okay? I'm running a fairly successful, though small because it's very new, fairly successful YouTube channel with a lot of video production. Particularly if you watch, if you watch my Linux channel, I don't do a lot of video production over here. But if you watch my Christian channel, there is a ton of really, really, really good video production. Okay, and those really, really, really good video production things is all self-taught. I didn't take a course in any of this stuff. I just sat down and figured out how to do it. And if you watch those videos, you'll see that the quality is getting better and better and better as I figure more things out. As I ask myself the questions, is this what I want? Is there a way to improve it? That's the ultimate fundamental thing. But it begins with that concept of individualism. That this is who I am. This is who I'm supposed to be. Now I need to figure out how I can support myself in this crazy, crazy world. I don't want to fit myself into a model. I don't want to go to college just because the society says I should go to college. Because who says you should go to college? Well, the textbook companies and the colleges do. Well, they have a really big financial incentive to send you to college. Because you are called a captive consumer. All right, we're going to stop there and go back to the comments here. Okay, what comes after Z? Do we go back to A again? Probably. CSI Cyber and Black Mirror, probably two of the best shows for tech industry of the future. Individualism is going to save us. If it doesn't kill us first. Alright, so what's the other one? Black Mirror. I'm writing those down so I can look those up. CSI Cyber. CSI Cyber and Black Mirror. Okay. Thought CSI Cyber was canceled. It might be, but okay. I remember seeing one of my teachers with a Trump hat. Okay, I own a netbook for testing Haiku, ReactOS, and other alternatives. I see a sign at many places that say all gender. Many of my teachers seem collectivists because they punish entire class for one student's mistake. I quit the whole IT field in 2007. Collectivism is cancer. Yes, it is. Have to stay for lunch because one of my classmates misdeeds. I'm 100% self-taught music composer, all from books. Awesome. Good for you, man. Musical Neptune. Do you have a... go ahead and put a... If you sell music and you have a URL where somebody can go ahead and drop that in the comments. I'll clean it up for you. Never done music school in my life. All right. Yeah, thumbs up for the feed. Yeah, thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, subscribe. I try and do a video every day. All right, started to save money for college at 16. Then my parents helped me pay for the books, and the rest was from my working 16 plus worked 20 years in a day before I had my own now. Oh, in a daycare, yeah. Okay. I try to isolate myself from students. Sometimes I can still get collectivized. It's annoying. Yep. Maybe if I sit alone, they will stop collectivizing me. Do you have a subject for tinfoil hats this week? No, Mitchell. If you have some ideas, anybody has tinfoil hat time ideas, drop them there in the feeds. I'm going to pause the comments there. We're going to go back and do the last segment, which is bad business. Oh, this was fascinating. So, of course, net neutrality is pretty much going to die. You know, Asia, shut your pie hole, was reconfirmed. We should have had a vote for that. And then, of course, California tried to sum up and say, well, you guys are going to get rid of net neutrality and the privacy rules. We're going to go ahead and set our own things. Of course, that was defeated by lobbyists. Now, guess what? Surprise, surprise, surprise. Comcast and Verizon have both sent letters to the FCC saying, hey, you have the ability to prohibit states from enforcing net neutrality, so please go ahead and do this. Because what's going to happen here is that the net neutrality is going to die. Ajit Pai he doesn't care what we think. They don't care what the people think. He's raking in piles and piles and piles of cash from these unscrupulous companies, Comcast and Verizon. He's making boatloads of money on it. He's going to do what he's going to do, and that means he's going to kill net neutrality. It's dead. It is, stick a fork in it, net neutrality's dead. So now the next thing that's going to happen is states are going to jump and go, well, we're going to control it then. So now both Comcast and Verizon, within yesterday, I guess last week and this week, Verizon and Comcast have got together to say, no, you now need to go to Congress and make it illegal for states to preempt net neutrality laws because it would be destructive for the infrastructure. No, net neutrality is going to be destructive for the infrastructure, you morons. So, as the FCC prepares to gut net neutrality, broadband providers are worried that states may enact their own laws to prevent ISPs from blocking, throttling, or discriminating against online content. Okay, this, like, we need to take a public vote on this. We need to get this on the ballots ASAP. This should right now be a national citizen vote. We as citizens want to vote. Save or kill net neutrality. I bet we will find an overwhelming save net neutrality. They're going to do what they want to do. The saving grace is if we kick the can down the road long enough to this is passed within the last 6 months of this administration, then when the next people come in, they can overturn it just like these guys overturned the other guys. But yeah, so Comcast, and this is the letter from Verizon. Congress and the FCC have recently made great strides toward restoring the light touch regulatory approach that has been successfully tried to ISPs for most of the last 2 decades. No, that would happen to be the complete opposite of what happened. Thank you very much for your lies. Unfortunately, even as Verizon and other providers seek to develop a reasonable and sustained federal network to protect the open internet, some supporters of stringent regulation of ISPs are now looking to states and localities to frustrate these achievements. As they should. State and local laws governing broadband internet access, state broadband laws, pose a real and significant threat to restoring light touch uniform regulatory framework. Okay, can we just like disband these 2 companies? Or throw Asia Pi in jail or something? Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about that right now, because that's crazy. I don't think I need to go any more detail. I mean, that's just crazy. They're trying to say we need to block states from forcing net neutrality. California tried, the lobbyists killed it, but they can't guarantee that everywhere. This is so anti-consumer and so destructive for the internet as a whole. It boggles my mind. I mean, what might happen is the internet may very well go away. This wonderful lawsuit that we're seeing right here is this Susie Bigger. I'm going to resist myself saying that joke. Wants to have a class action lawsuit against Facebook because this was really funny, actually, because basically Facebook has been effectively misclassifying employees to avoid paying overtime. So a typical employee, if they work over 40 hours, has to be paid time and a half by federal law. But if a manager on a salary position does not have to be paid that. And so by classifying a person as a manager, then you can say that this manager is a manager. And so if they work over 40 hours, they're a manager, so they don't get time and a half. Or any extra pay or anything like that. So what Facebook was doing is they took this class of people, and if you do anything in sales, you will be familiar with the term CSM, Customer Solutions Manager or Customer Sales Manager. Or sometimes just called the sales managers. So these people are called sales managers, and what their task is they will have either a group of clients or a region or a company, some region where they are responsible to sell and sales. And so they'll be either cold calling or making trips or talking with individuals. Regardless, however all of that goes together or happens, what's going to fundamentally occur is that they're going to their job is just to generate revenue. Well, because they're called sales managers or solutions managers because they manage the various little accounts. Okay, they are not what are called managers. A manager for a company is a person who oversees the various offices and the people. So what Facebook apparently was doing is taking these CSMs, which is by every definition an employee, and classifying them as a manager to avoid paying them overtime. Way to go, sleazy Facebook. Way to go. So this person is seeking a class action lawsuit against Facebook to do that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a fascinating thing. This is an interesting one. So this is the ISPs and the cable lobbyist industry versus Cody and the free and open source. So their entire thing here is a basically they did a study about television privacy, and there's just a few things I wanted to mention about this. I'll have all these links, including the PDFs and stuff, in the comments down below here. But pretty much what this is talking about is they're talking about the problem of privacy and piracy, not privacy. There's a problem of privacy too, but the problem of piracy, people pirating streams. The problem I have with this whole document is they have never one time defined what these pirate accounts are, other than just streaming services. So if I just go on to Google or whatever else, start page, whatever, and I just search for something and I find a stream, and I'm not paying anybody anything for it, Is that illegal? Is that illegal? I mean, there's certainly some seedy places you can find yourself, and you usually know if you're in a seedy place. But here's the thing: just because something isn't administered through Amazon or through Netflix or through Hulu doesn't necessarily mean it's pirated or whatever else. I mean, there's people that release free things. There's a lot of services that compile. Like, I love watching top documentary films, which for the most part is simply pulling various things from various locations in YouTube. Or Vimeo or wherever else, and pulling them in. For all intents and purposes are legal. So this group here, and this report has got to be going to ISPs. In fact, this is a company that sells information. It sells set-top boxes and other information to ISPs and cable networks. So I don't know if this was released internally to those guys and it leaked out, or if this was released to the public, or what the situation is. But basically they're saying 6.5% of households are accessing known subscription television piracy services. So if you're paying for a piracy service, why? Like, I don't have cable or any of the other things, but I don't pay anybody, and to my knowledge, I don't use anything that's illegal. I might, but to my knowledge, I don't. And I'm pretty careful to look for that type of stuff. So what do I watch? Well, I have an open source media center on my TV. Well, I have Top Doc Films on there, and I have TED Talks links on there, and YouTube links on there, so I can watch a variety of different things on that box pretty well. And of course, there definitely are some plugins for Kodi that are piracy plugins. I don't use any of those. But I mean, you could get them. Usually they're not the official plugins, so you'd have to install them. You'd have to install them externally. But that's something there. So here's the economics of the subscription television piracy. So the end user consumer, the box seller, the unlicensed video, and the video host. So this is all this. Of course, they got all these seedy characters over here, make it look all scary and seedy. So this is the problem, is that 7 million subscribers, the estimated number of people using these systems, times $10 per month, times $12 a year is $840 million a year is going to these pirates. Ooh, the pirates are making money. They're making a lot of money. Making a lot of money. But here's the thing, cable industry, cable service providers, you know what we need to do? We need to get these guys converted to our systems, because this is costing us $4.2 billion a year. So now take these same exact 7 million subscribers times $50 a month times 12 months a year. That's $4.2 billion a year. I got news for you, people. That's really great for you. That's really great for you. Okay? But I got news for you. Okay? And I'm going to get kind of hot about this. In fact, I'm on fire. We're going on fire, because this is so annoying. This is so annoying to me, because this right here is so offensive to me, because they're like, we just need to take these 7 billion people or 7 million people and convert them to our service so we can get $4.2 billion more dollars, and they can give us all this money. So now we need to take all of our money and give it all to them for crappy service that we don't own the content, that we're paying them money, and so those guys can earn in $4.2 billion while they continuously jack up our prices, constantly jacking up our prices, making it so bad, making it so horrible for the consumer that I have to pay a lot of extra money because I have to package some sports channel in that I hate sports and football and baseball and basketball, but I have to buy it because of the regulation. This right here, people, is why. This is why people are resorting to the piracy services, because they don't want the crap they don't want. They don't want to be paying some unscrupulous corporation who's screwing with our laws, who's buying lobbyists, who's buying the FCC, who's getting rid of net neutrality, who's trying to filter all this stuff out. They're trying to get to the point to where now, instead of us saving money, getting our needs met for $840 million a year, we're instead going to give them $4.2 billion a year for them to destroy our laws, buy our politicians, and give us crap that we don't want and make it overall generally worse for us. Because I got news for you, people. We all don't have $50 extra a month for your crappy service. We don't got it. We don't got it. Oh, this thing makes me hot. But basically, these guys are going against Cody that has the ability for doing these apps. But I got news for you. If you close down all these piracy services, I'm still not buying your crap. And I got news for you. If you close down all these services, I bet of these 7 million people, you might get 100,000 people to buy up. You want to know why they're resorting to piracy services? Because they don't want your crap. That's why. They don't want your crap. That's why. Nothing else we can say about that. They don't want your crap. Maybe if I isolate myself in an empty room, I can frankly restore my individualism. Rather be lonely and individualistic than socialized and be collectivized. What is collectivism? Okay, I think you answered that already. Super excuse for collectivism is to be a team. Okay, well, it looks like you didn't. So collectivism is when you take a class of people and you define them as a group together. And this is really what a lot of society wants to do. They want to group everyone together. They want to remove all individualism so we all become good little boys and girls who are obedient to our corporate overlords or governmental overlords. In some cases, it's hard to tell which is which. And so collectivism is when you take a whole class of people and you define them all as one and the same individually, as a group, versus individualism is when each individual person defines their own identity. So it's identity in a group versus identity in a person. Agent Pi is horrible. He's terrible. I consider him an enemy of the state. Yes. He is an enemy of the state. His policies are costing people. Yeah, and that's the thing is it's just costing a lot of money. Like, I mean, why is broadband internet so expensive for such crappy service these days? I mean, why? Why? Policies are... Yeah, okay. People, collectivism. Oh, putting someone or labeling somebody as part of a collective. Okay. Remember when I was using Mandrake 7.2? Linux could not this time take over desktops, just workstations. Now it can replace everything. Okay. He's anti-capitalist, anti-American. He's trash, want him gone. Trump, fire him. This guy makes me want to, punch him in the throat. Yeah. Okay, that's the thing, you know, and this is not capitalism, by the way. Capitalism contains a degree of morality and allows for competition. What's going on right now is corporatocracy, where the companies are creating the laws, or maybe an oligarchy, where the companies are creating the laws to keep themselves in power. And that's what's going on. Well, it looks like capitalism because we're deregulating. No, it's not deregulation when you're pulling the restraints off of the people that already have the power, but you're maintaining the restraints that keep somebody else coming into business. And this is why a small startup ISP can't even go into a town. If I wanted to and had the money to do an ISP, it would be against the law too. How? But it is. Yeah. Well, some people make us suppress our Christianity. I can say that. Anyone wants a good book to teach yourself composing 20th century harmony? Sweet. I have no religion, so there's no religious code binding me. Okay. Fire! Fire! How many of you in school and have teachers that enforce collective punishment? Yeah, I'm on fire. Okay, if the teachers will not change, the future generations should change, then be unlike their teachers. Why not just tell us how you really feel? You know, labels. Got you. Okay, at this point, I would have to live in a cabin in the woods to be an individual. P used to give me hell for torrenting. Yep. I have no cable either, which saves me $70 a month, not including cable box or rent, which is $12 plus 13% taxes going to the public library and take out DVDs to watch at home. Yep. Collectivism should be treated as communism. The problem is those people seem to want communism these days. I don't know. Kind of creepy, but it is. It is. Couple final articles here before we wrap this guy up. All right, so this one's a neat one here. Apple apparently is now making more money with their services than with AirPods, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and the iPad sales combined. Combined. So, and this is the danger with the services. This is why we have to be so cautious. And it's an interesting little debate, and it's an interesting little thing, because as I use more free and open source software, and particularly as I move to Linux, I look at what Windows 10 is doing, and I'm like, what's going on with the Linux world? Actually, I want to get into that story another time. I might actually save that for a completely separate video sometime, talking about that past philosophy. But the fundamental point I wanted to make is that more and more companies are pushing us into services, and it's getting to the point to where we can look down and we'll be paying $500 to $700 a month in various services, being it streaming or to mail prepackaged food to our door, or to pay for the LTE for our robotic puppy. We'll be having all of these extra services, hundreds and hundreds of dollars for all these different things. And this is what the companies want, because it gives them that ongoing revenue. And this is why I was telling that friend of mine that is, what he wants to do is do writing or music. And I said, don't worry about selling the music itself. I said, sell you as a person yourself, because that's what causes people to support you on Patreon. That's what causes people to visit your site and to turn off ad blockers on your site, and to do those things that will help you generate revenue without them directly buying your music. Give them the music for free. In fact, there's a rapper, Chance the Rapper, that's his entire model. All his music is free. He makes all of his money on product sales, and that's actually, it works out well for him. But this is what a lot of these companies are wanting us to do, is just, they're wanting us to stream and pay them the extra money, and and all these things. And basically what it means is that Apple in this case is making more money on their various services, being it's the extra storage space for the iCloud because we refuse to delete our old pictures, or buying music through iTunes. They're making more money with that than anything else. And then the last article is a little scary, and this is since Destiny 2 had a big success selling it digitally, they're using this. If you remember back when must have been 2000, was it 2013 or 2014, whenever the Xbox One was coming out and in development, Microsoft originally wanted to have games that were effectively download only, because the box was only going to be working on the internet, and it had to stay perpetually connected to the internet, which is creepy as all get out. I mean, I have an Xbox 360 with like a whopping 2 games that I play every once in a while, almost never, but I have it. Do you think I'm letting that thing stay perpetually connected to the internet? Nope. It stays completely unplugged when I'm not using it, which is most of the time. But it caused a big outrage with all the download, because when you have a gaming industry based on downloaded model, guess what goes away? Resale, used products, used services. And so that caused a big backlash, and Microsoft backed away from that and said, okay, no, we're not going to do kind of like a download only model. But now with this success of Destiny 2, and I have no idea what this is because I don't really play video games, this jumped for the first time from 20 to 25% download in Call of Duty games, up to 50% of people downloaded it rather than buying the retail disc. I'm not sure if they promoted it differently or if they released that prior to the disc being in stores. I'm not sure what the dynamics of the marketing for this were. But what the significant thing is that now 50% of people bought this as a download. And now they're looking at this going, maybe this download model is once again viable, because this is the model they want to do. This is why I'm having such a hard time in our modern society, because I think of the only games that I have in my office. Like, I have Warcraft 3 that I like, and I have Civilization 4 that I like. Okay? And if those companies go bust, I can still play those games. I have the game, and I have the CD and I have the product key, and you know what I probably should do is I should go online sometime and find a few of the update patches and keep a copy of those in my digital files. I should do that. I haven't, but I should do that. But I think what I should do is do that, get those things going, and that way I will have the ability to, you know, if anything even happens to the physical media, I should still have them and still be able to run them through the ISOs. But if those companies go belly up, I can still play those games that I bought. But if everything is download and everything is DRM'd and everything is internet connected and everything goes through their company servers, when the company goes belly up, I don't have the game anymore. Or when they decide to stop supporting it, I don't have the game anymore. And that's a terrible, terrible thing. That we need to get back in the habit of buying things that we control, not downloading a license to use something. And that's something we need to think about. Well, that is the end of the articles that I had. Let's go ahead and, you know what I'm going to do, though? I'm going to go back over there, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do a little wrap-up thing for the video editing, and then we're going to come back here and wrap up the comments. Well, thank you for watching this edition of the Weekly News Roundup. If you'd like to help support me, you can go to switchtolinux.com/support. I also have, we'll go ahead and promote these probably for the first time on this channel, but I am also an author, although it's Christian material, so it may or may not be for everybody. But I do have 2 books. Testing and Temptations is one of those, and a parody book, The Art of Shallow Neighboring, is the other one of those books that I have. You can actually get information on these books at ourwalkinchrist.com. If you actually go into my channel, I will have the YouTube channels for these books linked there with all of the proper links that you can find information on those too. Just letting you know those are out there, if you did want to pick up one of those books, you can do that. You can buy them directly from me or through Amazon and several other places. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Ooh, all right. My wife loves it when you go on fire, says the man's right on the money. Yeah! Fire, 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 fire. Okay. Remember when California was hardcore anti-communist? Were they ever? How do I feel about religion? I am a Christian. I have an entire Christian channel called Our Walk in Christ. The problem with cryptocurrencies are they offer no value. They're intangible. How can you get value from something with no real-world tangible value? Yeah, that is a danger. As I said, the companies may be in decline when they're trying to control their users. Yep, Linux will be the future of privacy. I agree. Getting rid of my subscription services one by one in favor of paying one price up front for 1 year, or better, just paying for native desktop apps. Yeah, what I start to see is a lot of different models. Like my brother went to school for video game design. Of course, they only teach you how to use Adobe products, Microsoft products, and 3ds Max. Is that Ubisoft, I think? I forget who has 3ds Max. No, that's not right. Who does 3ds Max? I forget. Is it Autodesk? Whoever makes AutoCAD, I think they do it. Well, all of those services, you know, now he's finished. He has a pile of student loan debt. Very few prospects on a job, but now to use 3ds Max, you can't buy it as a one-time anymore. You can't make a single investment. So when I started my web design business in 2010, it was I kept an eye on the market, and when the day that Adobe released CS5, I went on Amazon and bought one of the last copies of CS4 for 60% off. So I paid $1,000 for a full license of CS4. And that's actually why I still use the Windows computer, because frankly, I've been using it for 7 years. I'm really good at it and really proficient on Adobe software. And so I used that, and as I switched to Linux, I'm going, well, can I run this on Linux? And of course, I first tried to install that suite through Wine, and will it work or will it not? And then I'm looking at it all going, you know what? Why bother? Because there's just as good packages, which takes some time to learn. So if I go to college, this goes way back to that earlier thing we were talking about with individualism. If I go to college for video game design, I'm going to learn on 3ds Max, which I can no longer buy at a one-time investment and have the software license for the rest of my life. I now have to pay them, and I think the rate is $185 per month to use their software. A small game startup company can't do that. I can't do that to tinker, but you know what I can do? You know what I can do? Blender is free and open source, and it does everything 3ds Max does. Is it different? Yep, it is different. GIMP is different from Photoshop, but as I have forced myself to learn GIMP by doing the tutorials I was doing, I am just as proficient now on GIMP as I was on Photoshop. I can do anything in GIMP just as fast as I can do it on Photoshop. So which one do I use? Well, it depends on which computer's in front of me right now. And that is a worthwhile thing, because we need to take the time to learn. So if you want to do video game design, rather than going to school, paying a boatload of money for classes to teach you software that is a proprietary software that you have to pay an arm and a leg every single month to get started, why not get on YouTube and do Blender tutorials to learn how to use Blender? You'll accomplish about the same thing. Maybe you can take a few classes here and there to get some terminology or some lingo or a few things under your belt. It wouldn't be bad learning 3ds Max, particularly if you're going to go into a company job where they provide you the site copy of it. However, I did work with somebody who used to be an executive VP of one of the big gaming companies. I forget which one. But she was telling me, no, video game design is a bad field because you're constantly moving, you're on small contracts, and you generally have to use your own software. So even if you are going to be getting into that to be professionally, you want to be an employee with a big job, you still have to come up with your own 3ds Max subscription because it costs the company money otherwise. And as a contractor is liable, is required to have their own software. So that's that. So anyway, all that was in response to Mark's comment, getting rid of the subscriptions one by one. I will not pay a subscription fee for software. I will buy software. In fact, as I'm moving, I just moved my servers, and I've been using WHMCS, which is a client portal for controlling web servers. Which was a very nice and very useful system. It automated my billing. It connected to my registrars over here, my hosts over there, and I was able to manage a whole lot of customer aspects of my web design. Basically, as a web designer, I also sell web server space. And so as I'm selling my web server space, I use WHMCS to manage that. Well, you used to be able to buy a license for it, which was a perpetual license. So as I'm looking at moving servers, last year, I'm like, hey, I'd like to know what is the price of using it, because I've been using the software for a while and I like it. I want to keep using it. They don't have the option anymore. If I were to want to continue using WHMCS, then I have to pay them a perpetual certain amount per month to continue using it. Cuts into my profits. I'm not going to do that because it was just a time-saving thing. So what I found works just as well. You know what it is? It's called a spreadsheet. It's a spreadsheet. It's organized by dates, and I pull that up, and every single month, at the beginning of the month, I look at all the clients that are due that month or in the next month or two, and then I'll send them an invoice through my invoicing software, and that's how I'm managing it now. So I'm not paying WHMCS. Now, if they had an option to say, pay us $250 and you can have a site license for this many clients, I'll do that. I'll do that, no problem. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to pay them $15 a month or $20 a month or $25 a month, because I might have a really lean month and I can't always be throwing $25 a month out. And that's the thing these companies need to realize. And with that one company where I went on fire with, the problem with these idiots is that we do not have an unlimited pool of money, especially in the light of everything else that was going on. We don't have an unlimited pool of money. Money's tight. We can't throw $50 a month to your services, or we probably would be doing it. That's kind of the way it is. We have to figure out how to get by without dumping all our money into these guys. And there's no benefit in us collectively giving that industry that's so destructive to us another $4.2 billion. They got enough money, for crying out loud. Why don't they start giving back to the communities now rather than building another yacht? Carbon Linux is the future of privacy. Leaving the cloud. Yep. I have very few things on cloud services. I think I have one active Google Doc in the cloud. One of my clients, we just have like so many projects between us, and so we just keep one Google Doc that we can both update on the cloud. But I don't use cloud for default anything. But here's the scary part: is as the education moves, as the school systems have basically come under the underbelt of the Google corporate overlord and have been forcing everyone onto the cloud services. I'm writing a book with a high school student. I'm like, yeah, I gave him the computer we're writing on. I said, just go ahead and write your section on this. So he starts to do the writing, and he brings back to me, I was like, good. Did you save that? How do you save a document? You're in school, you don't know how to save a document? Because Google Docs saves everything immediately. You don't have a save button anymore. We have fundamentally forgotten how to interact with files on our computer because everything's in the cloud. And that's scary. Scary. The cloud is a tool. Use it appropriately. My worry is whether Microsoft is going to mess things up for Linux, being they're on the foundation. They're on the foundation, but I think Linux has enough community user power that I'm not even sure Microsoft would have the power to get in there and do anything. Unless they start corrupting it like the W3C, W3C, whatever. WC, I don't know, whoever, you know who I'm talking about. If they get in there and corrupt it like that, then that's certainly a challenge. But you know what? There's always FreeBSD. But yeah, I don't think they're going to mess with it, but I don't know. Let's see. Hate that nowadays you have to download games, but do not play games as much as before. That's the thing, you know, I'd like to have a game that I can have it on a CD, you know, that's fine, you know. No tucks, no bucks guy going forward. Absolutely. No tucks, no bucks. If you don't know what that term means, it's kind of a Linuxy term. No tucks, no bucks means if you don't have a Linux compatibility, we're not sending you our money. Love that strategy. ISPs may try to suppress Linux as well. Yeah, they can. Especially if net neutrality. Yeah, we're going to get rid of all of these ISP guys. Nick, I miss my Atari 2600. Nick, if you can gain access to a Raspberry Pi, you can download a little thing called RetroPie and put an Atari 2600 emulator on there. And several of the games are public domain and or free and open source. Some of them are not, but you can actually get several of the Atari 2600 games. So do some internet searches on that, Atari 2600 games, and actually you can do, I think you can do, the application you want is RetroPie, which is a Raspberry Pi thing, but there's also Emulation Station, which I have not used that one, but other people say it's really good. Like Matt Hartley uses Emulation Station, I think, more often. And so you can put a Atari 2600 emulator on that, and you can play your Atari games. If you still have Atari games, it would be legal to have the ROM in the United States if you have a physical copy of the cartridge. But otherwise, check the open source and public domain ROM list for the Atari 2600 as well. But yeah, you can still play those games on Linux. Linux rocks. Linux all the way. Also consider boycotting UEFI BIOS. In favor of MBR BIOS. Yep. Kind of CD with just secure boot. Yeah. If I must use it, I don't even enable it. Yep. California had laws restricting communists from working in government jobs. A lot of America did, I thought. I've inspired Mark. Sweet. Very good. Autodesk 3D Studio Max. Thank you. Autodesk. That's it. Autodesk. Google has announced they no longer supporting EFI or Intel engine management. Unsecure. This material keeps me entertained at work. No problem, Interceptor. Trying to force Windows or Apple. Subscription-based services are a ripoff. Yes, they are. They're a really good deal for the company. They're a really bad deal for the rest of us. And the rest of the popular Linux distros forced to follow their model. Ubuntu has secure boot keys, and a few bootloaders for Linux are pre-signed. Yeah, I generally don't. And the reason I don't is because UEFI totally screws with this computer. It completely messes with it. In fact, when it does something like, I actually have not updated one of my 2Cubes installs because I know I'm going to be spending an afternoon fighting with the bootloader once I do it. Which I do need to do that, but okay. What makes social media even worse is some college and companies will deny you for not having. That's really creepy. That's really creepy. I have not heard that. They must think you're lying. You must really have it. Nobody doesn't have Facebook. Homeless bums in Bosnia have Facebook. Yeek. Things getting native. Buy it off the shelf again. Bring it back to brick and mortar. Native apps over cloud. Call them and demand them or they'll lose their money. Okay. Knowing my high school students would have a problem with some of my conservative values. So, right, people think people with businesses have tons of money, in which we don't, as they are expenses, but they only look at the profit. That's the thing, you know. I mean, even me as a business, even though if I were to go with that WHMCS, it's still a business deduction. Even me, since I have my own business, I can write off the whole cost of my internet. But that doesn't mean I want to pay $100 a month for internet. I'd rather not pay as much and have a smaller write-off than throw way too much money out and have a bigger write-off. Okay? It's better for me to save as much money as I can. And that's why, even for my home cooking hacks channel, the dishes that I do to pretty up the pictures and things, I bought those at Goodwill. It cost me like $5, and I got a bunch of fancy dishes for doing photo ops with food, you know. But I bought them at Goodwill rather than spending any real money. School system uses corporate cloud systems. That's scary. I still know how to save documents. Woohoo! Many novelists still use their old word processors like WordStar to write their bestsellers. I wonder if they foresaw privacy issues with connected systems. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. I have all the Atari games, Atari Jaguar. I own consoles and the games still. Sweet. Well, if you own all those, Nick, you can, I believe, check with the laws, of course, but I believe you can legally download the ROMs if you still have access to those. So if you can't play them for whatever reason, but you have the cartridges, you should be able to download those. Can't you set legacy mode to UEFI to enable BIOS again? It's more complicated than that. It just happens to be extremely horrible firmware in the BIOS. That what happens is anything that updates that even looks like it might have UEFI overwrites the entire master boot record. Because this computer, if you're new to the stream, the computer that I've built, let me co-op the kitty cam for a minute. Co-op the kitty cam and switch to the kitty cam. Let's see. Here we are. Okay. So here is the computer that I built for live streaming. So it is a Core i5 3570K overclocked. There's 32 gigs of HyperX RAM in here, and what I have at the front is an IC dock, if you can see that. So I have an IC dock that supports a big hard drive and a little hard drive. And so I can basically hot swap the operating systems in the drive. And in addition to that, there's multiple internal ones as well. But that computer there, I can have multiple different operating systems. So I have 2 different Cubes operating systems. I have an Ubuntu banking operating system. I have an Ubuntu Mate. I have the Linux Mint Cinnamon that I'm using right now. And I can plug a lot of other things in there. The problem is when I do an update, particularly on Cubes, it wipes out everything that is in the master boot record. So all of the ability to boot things. And so then if I update that and then I turn cubes off, I plug the Linux Mint computer back in and turn it on, it says there's no operating system boot off of. And so I have to boot into the system again with whatever thing will do. Usually it's got to be cubes at this point because that's the only thing that's left. And then I have to start using the terminal to rewrite the boot record. It's a pain in the butt. Now, my Dell computer, my laptop that I showed earlier, that has exactly what a BIOS should have. I can boot the thing, go into BIOS, and I can rewrite the thing from right inside there. And so that's what happens. It's something extremely screwed up with the firmware. So I will never be running that BIOS again. If I build another system again, I will never be using that BIOS again. That company just sucks. Some college students get denied entrance for lack of Facebook. That's just freaky. Thought police, yep. I'm not happy with the bank. Something is blocking it up. I'm not happy with any of my banks, but I don't think it's going to get any better anywhere else. I might not even get into collect for non-existing social media. Yeah. Oh, into college for non-existing social media. You know what? If you're good enough as a student and you can demonstrate why, then you can probably get around that. Says Tommy, you and Tom think alike when it comes to saving money, and I'm just shocked you guys are not Jews. Well, you know, I wasn't always that way. I had to get that way because I lost everything. I mean, I lost everything twice. Once was not entirely my fault. I made some bad decisions and got caught up in the whole 2008 market crash. But you know, I also lost everything as a child as well with, you know, with our family. We left everything, you know, everything behind and came across country. So I've had to learn how to live off of nothing. And then, of course, I go to grad school, and part of our condition of grad school is we were not allowed to have any extra jobs. So I had to figure out how to live in a college town on $1,200 a month. And so, and I just got out of that, and I said, I'm so used to living that way, I don't really need to change my lifestyle much. And so I just live simplistically, which actually served me well. But there was a time in the middle there that I was making a lot of money, and I mean, I didn't live super large, but I probably lived larger than I necessarily should have. Still own in television, ColecoVision. Wow. I will find another way to get an education if I get denied college exams for not having social media. Who are you listening to at the moment? Who do you mean listening to? In what respect, John? But answer quick, because I'm about to wrap this up, because that's the last comment in my feed. Tuit needs to stop charging me $10. I no longer have your service on purpose. You know, I use PayPal for that kind of stuff, Mark, because while it is a 3.2% fee, I don't have any monthly fees, and I only pay that when I have money in there. I think I'm going to go ahead and feed the kitty, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And John, if you get back to me, then I'll answer your question. Come here. All right, folks, let's see. Mark is listening to the voices in his head. John, sound a bit strange. Why would they deny you some part-time work? John, I think he's talking. I think if you're talking about Carbon Programmer, it's denied college for not social. I think that's the case. John, see you later. Oh, music. What do I think of music? I think I listened to Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here Today. I listen to one music CD in the morning when I do my writing in the morning. So this morning it was Pink Floyd. Get some extra sleep time, by the way, this weekend. Time. Oh, I do remember that. Time does change this weekend. I forgot. Thank you for the reminder of that. All right, folks. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. I will plan probably doing a tinfoil hat time tomorrow. I don't know what topic yet, but we'll see if something comes to me. So thanks for watching, folks. Have yourself a wonderful evening.